Welcome back, guys, to the Lions Den Sports Podcast. I'm Chase Gispert.
And I'm Troy Allen.
And I'm Adam Tullier.
And we're ready to bring you some Week 6 NFL action. But first, let's cover the Lions. So, 0-6 start to the season. We didn't get the film last week because of fall break. We usually do it on Wednesday. I actually did have class Wednesday, but it didn't really work out. But so we're going to be kind of doing a little makeup here, covering 2 weeks in one. We'll try to keep it rather not too long, but anyway, Tarleton State, really tough loss 2 weeks ago at home, lost 14-13, a missed extra point, missed field goal, scoop and score call back. That was a terrible call. Really unfortunate loss. Outgained Tarleton 400. We had a little over 400 yards. Southeastern, they had a little over 200.
Yeah.
It was really a terrible loss. Should have beat them. And then UIW, I was impressed. I honestly thought we were going to get blown out. I mean, they're a top 10 team. They've been really good last 3 seasons. Made the semifinals FCS a year ago, and they have Texas A&M transfer quarterback Zach Calzada. We only lost 33-26 Southeastern. Was down 24-6 at the half, I believe, too.
24-6.
And outscored them in the second half. But really hard-fought game. Got a chance at the end, threw a pick on 4th down, I believe around the UIW 30. Could have, and Coach Selfo said in his presser Monday, he said we would have went for 2, which I like. Lost by 7 if they would have scored, but wasn't meant to be. 0-6, really, obviously, not even close to what anyone would have predicted going into the year. Disappointing, but playing Lamar, who's 3-3 at home this week, homecoming. Come out and support, by the way, 3 p.m. homecoming game. I'm going to say I think the Lions are going to get a win on homecoming. Lamar's they're 2-0 in conference, but I think they've beaten Northwestern State, who hasn't won a game, in HCU.
Exactly.
So I'm going to say we win, but what were y'all's kind of thoughts in the last 2 weeks? We'll start with you, Troy.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, that TSU game, that was definitely, like you said, super winnable. We led in 5 different categories, total yards, passing yards, rushing yards, first downs, and time of possession. You usually want to, whenever you lead in that many categories, it usually says, oh, you blow out this team, or like you at least won, but 1 point loss and just self-inflicted wounds all season, but particularly in that game. The interception on our first offensive possession, we fumbled the ball, I think, in our first quarter too. Missed the field goal.
Throw a pick 6, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Pick 6. Missed a field goal right before halftime. Missed a field goal, and then the blocked extra point. I couldn't see it well.
It was a high snap. And
yeah. Okay.
Also, Coach Selfo said in his presser that Monday, he said it was the backup holder. The first string holder was hurt, so
that makes sense.
That's a position obviously you never notice until they mess up. But
exactly.
Obviously, it was critical in that situation.
Yep, and then that UIW game, that did give me some hope going to the homecoming game this week against Lamar. That second half, we did outscore them. We did get behind 24-6 early. UIW Brandon Porter, get 10 catches for 182 yards. Yeah, he lit us up all game. But that second half really did give me some hope. I liked what I was able to see from the offense, and even though our offensive ranks aren't that good for the whole year at 18.5 points per game, I think we do get a win here at homecoming. I mentioned it in the last podcast we did, but we gotta play with some desperation, definitely heading into a homecoming game against a conference rival. I think this is a very winnable game too against Lamar University. But yeah, those are just my quick thoughts on it.
I share a lot of the same kind of thoughts. I think it's definitely been an improvement these last 2 weeks because instead of suffering heartbreaking defeats, completely one-sided blowouts, It's been close games, and I think this will be the week that we can score a win.
For sure. Win. Also, the note, there is hope. Lions fans 0-6, only 0-2 in conference. Technically, I mean, if we won out, we'd still be in it. I think that's a foregone conclusion. That's kind of a pipe dream, but just to win at least a few games down the stretch would be awesome. So we're at the halfway point. Well, actually, over halfway. We have 5 games left. I'm looking at the schedule. The good news, what I was trying to say, Lamar is 3-3. That's the best record that we'll face by far. Everyone else has a losing record the rest of the way. Yeah. After Lamar, you play at a winless Northwestern State, home against a winless McNeese, at 1-4 Texas A&M Commerce, and then you host Nichols, who's 2-3 in the River Belt Classic. So rest of the way, every game is winnable. That is the good news, but obviously 0-6, not an ideal start. But let's move on to the NFL. So first things really, that headline, the last 2 weeks, we'll just start off with the Week 5 because it's most relevant, most recent. The Cowboys getting destroyed by the Niners on Sunday Night Football, 42-10. Troy, what did you see in that game? I mean, Dak threw 3 straight interceptions, kind of just summarized it.
Yeah. I saw this. I saw as I was watching the game. Chris Collinsworth, he pointed out that the score was like 14-0 before Cowboys even got a first down.
Yeah.
So like the Niners just dominated through and through. Dak threw 3 picks. As a matter of fact, he's struggling versus the Niners in his last 3 games. They put up a graphic. His completion percentage is like 59% versus the Niners. He's throwing 3 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Well, obviously, it's now 4 touchdowns and 6 interceptions versus the Niners. And so Dak's really struggling against them. And Purdy just was crazy. 252 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 3 of them went to Kittle. And it seems like every week the Niners just have a different guy going off. You know, this week it was Kittle with the 3 touchdowns. Next week it might be Ayuk, or it might be Deebo Samuel, or maybe it's CMC having 200 total yards by himself. It's just every week they just take turns going off. And so that Niners offense is just really, really, really unstoppable.
Yeah, they're the best team in the league, I think, all around through 5 weeks. And also the Cowboys, they did score 10, but their one touchdown was a 26-yard touchdown pass from Dak to Kevontae Turpin. They did not have one red zone appearance the entire game, the Cowboys. We'll throw it to Adam. What did you think of that game?
Yeah, no, it just completely destroyed Dallas in every single way possible. Honestly, them getting 10 points was kind of surprising. Just everything the 49ers did, Dallas basically did not have an answer to.
No, they didn't at all.
Yeah, they didn't.
Going on to our next headline, which I think is really relevant, especially being in Louisiana. Burrow and Chase finally had an explosive game. After getting blown out by the Titans, Burrow had 317 yards, 3 touchdowns. Chase, franchise record for Cincinnati, 15 receptions, 192 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He hadn't had 1 touchdown going into the game, and he got a hat trick. I also saw a statistic on, I think, Next Gen Stats. Burrow, I think the one bomb he threw to Jamar for a touchdown, it went over 58 yards in the air. That was his longest ever completion as an NFL quarterback. So that was a really positive sign. He looked healthy for once. He was moving around, stepping into his throws with that calf. So, 2-3, it's still early. But remember, the Bengals were 10-7 the year they went to the Super Bowl in 2021. So you never know. But that was good to see for sure.
Oh yeah, 100%. And this game coming after a week after Chase's famous quote, "I'm always open."
So, I'm always explicit of open.
So definitely a good sign from definitely a good sign to Bengals fans. Like you said, Burrow finally looks healthy, stepping into his throws, moving around in the pocket. And as a matter of fact, on that one bomb he threw to Chase, it was his pocket movement that sort of extended that play, and he just threw that deep bomb. And the fact that was the longest completion of his career coming off that calf injury, I think it's safe to say he is pretty healthy moving forward, going into the season. They are 2-3, a lot of season left to go, but I think the main thing with the Bengals is that they are 0-2 in the AFC North, and they're 0-2 in the AFC North. So they are playing from behind. in that regard compared to last year. Last year, whenever they started 0, whenever they were 2-3, I didn't think they had a divisional loss yet.
Mm.
Or a lie, they had one, and that was the Steelers opening night, but it was just one. This year, they're down 2 games in the division. Watson might come back either this week or next week. The Ravens are always going to be good as long as Lamar's healthy, and the Steelers aren't going away. So they have a lot of ground to make up at the start of 0-2 in division, but overall, it's a good sign to Bengals fans.
Yeah, I mean, the Bengals, they definitely have not had very great performances throughout the year so far, but this game is definitely a good sign that, that rough patch hopefully is behind them, because Lord knows that I need the fantasy points from both of them. Actually, I don't have Burrow, but I need his production because I have Higgins on my team. But yeah, it's a really good sign that they're doing really well, and it's always good to see Louisiana people doing well.
Yeah,
for sure. Going into our next topic, Justin Fields avoids bus conversation in patrol. I think definitely it's worth the debate. We were dogging him. I mean, I think rightfully so, but he's really answered the bell. And my goodness, DJ Moore, 8 catches, 230 yards, 3 touchdowns versus the Commanders on Thursday Night Football. The Bears got their first win of the year on the road in Washington. I'll give you credit, too. You picked that as well.
Yeah.
I did think it'd be a close game. You never know with Thursday, but I went with Washington. Bears got their first win, much needed. An offensive explosion. Fields really starting to air it out and just letting his number one receiver go to work. I don't think talent was ever a question with Fields. It's more just decision-making, but the last 2 weeks he's really been on point.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And last podcast we did, like you said, we was dogging on him, especially after that game versus
Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay, where he was just missing wide open dudes left and right. But, the last 2 weeks, 617 passing yards, 8 touchdowns, only 1 interception, 2 turnovers.
Without Chase Claypool.
Yeah, without Chase Claypool.
He's the cancer.
Without Chase Claypool. That's the key. Speaking of Chase Claypool, he did get traded to the Dolphins, so he can finally take up that wide receiver 5 role.
Him and Robbie Chosen going to be picking it up.
Who
gets Waddle and Tyreek Scrubs.
Oh, man. But yeah, Fields is might turn the tide. Two great games, and because he had 2 straight great games, I believe he's tied for second in the league in passing touchdowns.
That is crazy.
Yeah, and through 5 weeks, it really shows that quarterback play isn't like at like an all-time high like we're used to. Some guys are going through early slumps. And other guys are just surrounded by like very bad rosters. So the fact that he's second in the league in passing after 3 straight pretty bad games is kind of surprising. And like you said, DJ Moore, he had a phenomenal Week 5 performance, 230 yards on only 8 catches too, and 3 touchdowns versus the Commanders. Just a crazy performance. And that game really showed why DJ Moore is also underrated. People, whenever we talk about wide receivers, we always talk about guys like Hill and Chase and Jefferson, but DJ Moore, he's right on the brink of being top 10 in my opinion. So yeah, I'm glad he's finally finding his footing in the Bears offense, and I'm hoping this continues for the season because I was a huge Justin Fields fan coming out of college. I wanted him to succeed, so I'm hoping this continues on for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I think just in general, Justin Fields and Burrow improving, I think it's finally becoming the time where the kinks are starting to come out of all the teams who were struggling early on, who we really didn't think would, and they're starting to really put something together. And I think going into the middle and especially the later half of the season, I think there's going to be a lot of really tight races, some really astounding upsets, and I'm sure, it's kind of early, I know, but I'm sure wild cards and stuff will be, every minute it changes the stats on who's going to get where.
Yeah, that's why the NFL is so cool. It's really not a big talent discrepancy. It's the top 1%, so it's a lot. It's really unpredictable. Let's go into our next thing. So Devon Achane, I was lucky enough. I actually drafted him. I'm gonna give myself a pat on the back. Y'all might think I'm BSing here, but I did. I watched him in college at Texas A&M. I remember in a game against LSU, he absolutely tore their defense up last year. I also remember he had a kickoff return against Bama when they upset him, A&M, I think in 2021. He's lightning fast. I thought Dolphins have 2 old running backs, Mostert, Jeff Wilson, I think is finally active, I want to say. But I did think, I was like, man, in that offense, I think A-Chain could be good. So I just stashed him on my bench. I did not expect this now, I'll say that. But he is going insane. Troy, you got his stats here. Top 5 in rushing yards, 460. And granted, I think he only has been the starter, like, technically for the last week or 2.
Yeah.
And he didn't get any carries, I don't think, the first 2 weeks. Or if he did, it was hardly any.
Yeah.
5 tuds, and then averaging, this is the big thing, 12.1 yards per carry. I mean,
That's
that
crazy.
is absurd in the NFL.
That's crazy.
Now, he did get hurt, which I have him on 2 of my leagues, which obviously I did not want to see. I put him on, or I think he's doubtful, so I don't know if you could put him on IR, but he's probably going to miss at least 3 to 4 weeks. I want to say it's a knee injury.
Yeah, it's a knee injury.
Yeah, which does stink, but I mean, he's definitely worth noting. If Rookie of the Year ended now, I think he would win it. For sure.
Yeah, 100%. And the craziest thing is that I actually double checked. Not only is he top 5, but he's leading the league in rushing yards. 5 touchdowns.
That is crazy.
And if I remember correctly, I saw a stat. He's 35th in carries. 35th in carries, but he's leading the league.
I think, still has more carries.
He does. Mostert still has more carries, and yet there's not even close in terms of yardage. So he's really great. And it is worth noting that he was picked number 84th overall in the 3rd round.
Right.
So that was quite a steal by the Dolphins.
It reminds me of Kamara. Wasn't he a 3rd rounder by the Saints?
I think so.
Yeah, they're around the same spot, I want to say.
Yeah. So once Devon comes back from injury, I expect him to pick up right where he left off. And the Dolphins, man, that team is so complete. The Legion of Zoom, man. Legion of Zoom.
Dude, it's looking like, you could say it's looking like, now the AFC is stacked, and you still got the Eagles and the NFC undefeated, but if I had to pick right now, I think I'd go with Dolphins, Niners, Super Bowl.
That's not bad.
That would be a great Super
That's
Bowl,
not
too.
bad.
The Dolphins offense against the Niners defense, that would be something special.
That'd be great.
Especially, like, going into the year, like, it just looked like to me anyway, the AFC was just so stacked, and then the NFC was 2 teams.
Yeah.
Right.
And then now, like, it's pretty close. I mean, with all the conferences, the NFC does have a couple more stinker teams than the AFC for sure. But I mean,
speaking of all these great teams, do y'all have like an MVP? I know some sports shows like First Take and First Things First. They're debating about MVP. So
who is it, like Mahomes? I'm guessing. I don't
probably. But in my opinion,
like who's the front runners?
in my opinion, I have a hot take for MVP. It's currently Mahomes right now. But my hot take for MVP this year, I'm going with Tyreek Hill, honestly.
Tyreek Hill?
Yeah, Tyreek Hill. The way he's
like
transformed that Dolphins offense, don't get me wrong, obviously Mike McDaniel implementing a great system, Tua getting better as a quarterback. But I think the reason why they even had that system in the first place is because Hill went to the Dolphins. The reason why Tua got better is because Hill went to the Dolphins.
Right.
And
he's a cheat code out there.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you look at his production so far this season and even last year, he had a career year of 1,700 yards. And this year he's on pace to even surpass that. So you look at what he's done for the Dolphins and the way he was able to turn around that offense. I think he's an MVP, especially, and I'm not saying the quarterbacks this year have stunk because clearly they haven't, but like usually at this time of the season, you can start to pick out which quarterbacks are going to be MVP, and for me, none of them are standout-ish to me. And the one guy that's really standout-ish is Tua, but again, I think Hill is the best player on that roster.
I think he is too.
Yeah.
So given the fact that he's the best player on that roster and his value is clearly there, He's my MVP this year so far through 6
That's
games.
perfect. That's a perfect segue because I'm gonna say that Tua's gonna win MVP this year. I will say without a doubt, Tyreek Hill's the best player on their team. I would love for a receiver to win it. I just think it's so biased for quarterbacks that Tua would get it. But I think he would be deserving. If he continues what he's done this year, he's for sure. I just thought, can you win Comeback Player of the Year and MVP in the same season?
Probably. I mean, they're not mutually exclusive.
Because I don't know if I saw he was up for it. Like he was one of the favorites going into the year just because I guess of all the concussions he had last year and he missed some time. But I would either go with him or CMC for the Niners. They do have so many weapons. But like you said, besides I guess Mahomes, but I mean he's having a good year, but it's not like it's wow. Like I mean,
yeah, exactly.
His numbers, if you look at them,
they're all career lows through 5 games. They're all career lows.
Right. So I would love it if some other position besides quarterback. I'd love it if Tyreek Hill or CMC. He's having a tremendous year at running back. But Adam, who's your MVP prediction? I guess.
I'm gonna be really lame. It's too early to have a clear conversation in my opinion.
That's fine.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Oh yeah, 100%. Anything happened the rest of the 13 games, 14 games.
I mean Tua and Tyreek. I mean, great players. Definitely agree that they could be MVP. Mahomes could also just completely destroy everything like he has done in the past and just
he'll probably win it.
Clear that. Or I mean, Christian McCaffrey could come in and
maybe Taylor Swift will win it.
Right.
Another hot take. T.J. Watt could also obviously a defensive player winning MVP is very out there too. But if you look at T.J. Watt's impact on the Steelers, especially defensively, like there's a reason why we have a winning record with TJ and a losing record without him. Mm-hmm. So obviously he won't get MVP because I don't think we would have the record to even for him to get that. But I do think he deserves some at least some votes. You know what I'm saying? A vote or two.
Yeah, kind of like a acknowledgement pity point.
Yeah, exactly. And then, real quick, we do have the Saints bouncing back versus the Patriots.
Big time win.
Yeah, 100%. As a matter of fact, in Week 4, the Patriots got blown out by 35 points, which is the largest. Which is the largest in the Belichick era. And then the very next week, you get blown out by 34 points.
Go
the
home,
second largest.
You go home and get blown out, shut out 34-0 by the Saints.
Crazy.
Huge, really good win for the Saints. Obviously, starting out 2-0, you're on the brink of 3-0. Blew a 17-0 lead after 3 quarters to in Green Bay. Carr got hurt, and then you lost to Tampa at home, who is kind of a surprise. They're a lot better than people thought this year. Baker Mayfield's been playing some good football down there, but and then obviously blowout 34-0 over New England. Kind of could get some of the momentum back above 500 again, but man, that defense is something. If Derek Carr could just get healthy and figure it out, I mean, you saw the offense have some success last week, finally, but Saints, I mean, I think it's between them and Tampa and the NFC South, but
100%.
I found that win not surprising. I think the way that they won it was really surprising, especially with Belichick still at the helm, because Belichick's specialty has always been defense. All of his teams have had really good defense. All of his Super Bowl winning teams, even though Brady was still there.
Yeah, they've always been top. I think Brady hasn't won a Super Bowl without a top 10 defense.
Exactly. Yeah. As a matter of fact, for Brady's entire career, minus 08 because he tore his ACL. So for Brady's entire career, the Patriots had a top 10 defense.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Even going back to 3 years ago, whenever they had Cam Newton, they still had a top 10 defense that season. Right. So it's crazy.
And a score like this is just unthinkable. I mean, having their offense is no secret. It's not that great.
Yeah,
I mean, you have
terrible.
You have Mac Jones as your starting quarterback, so it's not a recipe for greatness, but. Really, the defensive play from the Patriots from the last few games, and even really this whole season bleeding into last season, just is not up to the Belichick par. And, I'm not Bill Belichick. I don't know why that is, but I I'm glad the Saints won, but
Right.
the Patriots definitely, obviously, need to figure out offense, but defense has always been their bread and butter, and seeing that starting to slip is kind of worrying
One
for
thing
Belichick.
I will say, they had Christian Gonzalez and Matthew Judon out. You could argue those are their two best defenders. Judon, for sure, their best pass rusher, one of the best in the league.
And
Gonzalez, their first-round corner, is kind of emerging as their lockdown guy. You're right, Adam, for sure. They haven't been up to standards. But another thing people don't think about, when you have such a bad offense and they continue to just put the defense out on the field over and over again, and also mentally, it's kind of draining when you're on defense. You're thinking, we got to hold them to 20 points or more. We're going to lose because our offense literally cannot score points. So
exactly.
I think it's kind of a combination of things. But for sure, it does seem like Belichick is kind of slipping. And you kind of almost think out loud, like, is retirement coming soon? We don't know. But it definitely seems like his fastball is behind him.
Yeah, if I'm Robert Kraft, I'm just saying, like, after the season, you got to go. What, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they just hit the full reset button. You try to remain competitive even without Brady. It's clear that they just need they need to fully, embrace a completely new era without Brady, without Belichick. With that being said, we're heading into Week 6 previews. We have our fantasy starts and sits. Do you guys have anything you want to say, or should I open it?
I'm actually gonna sit this one out and let y'all take over for starts and sits.
All right, cool. So my starts real quick. I got Zay Flowers versus the Titans. We played a rough game versus the Steelers last week. I think he has a bounce back game. A bit of a hot take, but I do have Kyle Pitts versus the Commanders. Last week, he did have 87 yards. Desmond Ridder was targeting him. So I'm comfortable with that. Maybe something was there. So I don't know. A bit of a hot take. And then also kind of crazy since the Titans are facing the Ravens too. I do have Hopkins versus the Ravens. Last week, I think Hopkins had like 140 yards by far his best game of the season. So those are my starts real quick. In my sits, I do have Jerry Jeudy versus the Chiefs. Just a tough matchup. Like, the Broncos overall this season, they've been very disappointing. I mean, that's a topic in and of itself. But I do have the Chiefs beating the Broncos handedly, so I don't think Jeudy is going to produce that much. Mike Gesicki versus the Dolphins. We talked about the Patriots in that receiving core, and Mike Gesicki is included. He was solid last year, but last year a different system, different roster. This season he's been very underwhelming. And same for Darren Waller. Darren Waller, he's been for the Giants. I have him as a sit versus the Bills. Just very underwhelming. So those are my starts and sits for this week.
I'm also gonna sit this one out.
I'm gonna pick up the slack because I always participate. I have one for sure that I really like. I'm looking at the games. I think James Cook versus the Giants. He had a really bad week last week. I think he had negative rushing yards against the Jaguars. Giants defense is awful. Really, their whole team is awful. If we're just being honest, they're 1-4. That should be a blowout on Sunday Night Football. I mean, it is the NFL. You never know, but I think James Cook and the Bills should have a field day against the Giants. Trying to think. One where I do like, I'm going to say a start this week is keep rolling with DJ Moore and Justin Fields.
100%.
I think Justin Fields is going to have another big day. Vikings are 1-4. They're reeling. They're without their best player now, Justin Jefferson. I think that just affects the team. Bears are at home. They got some momentum, and that Vikings defense is just not very good. Trying to look at some others. Saints Texans. I feel like that's going to be a low-scoring game, so I don't think it's going to be that fantasy-friendly. I still like C.J. Stroud a lot and Nico Collins, but I would temper expectations against that Saints defense. But yeah, I think that's pretty much what I got for starts and sits, just looking over the games.
Yep.
Very shortly.
Real quick, my lock of the week is the Dolphins over the Panthers. I have the Dolphins beating them pretty easily, 38-17. So 17 points might be too much for the Panthers. But yeah, 38-17.
Might be a little too much. Is Bryce Young playing again? I know he was banged up at least 1 week.
Yeah. He missed week 3, I think.
Okay, yeah.
Ironically enough, week 3 was the most amount of points that the Panthers have scored this season, too.
Wow, yeah, with Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say my lock of the week is gonna be the Bills over the Giants. I just mentioned start James Cook. I think the Bills will score a lot on New York. I think the Giants' misery in primetime continues. Or are they 0-3 or 0-4? It's like almost every game they've had this year has been on primetime, and they've lost, and not just lost, but gotten embarrassed.
Yep.
I think that trend continues. Give me Buffalo over Giants on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, my lock of the week is the Eagles over the Jets. I mean, Eagles, second best team in the NFL. I mean, they are rolling 5-0. Jets are not going to be a hard obstacle to overcome, I don't think. It would take quite a lot for them to get upset by them.
You see, now heading into the upsets, I almost picked the Jets to upset the Eagles, mainly because the Jets defense. That Jets defense is crazy good. The Eagles are 5-0. Obviously, they're favored. I think they're favored by 10.5 points according to ESPN.
I think the Jets will cover that.
Yeah,
I would say.
Same here. But I will roll with the Seahawks over the Bengals as my upset, 34-30. I think that's a very explosive game, back and forth between the both teams. Bengals are only favored by 2.5 points. I think the Seahawks will cover it, and I think they'll beat them in a very close 34-30 game. Both guys. I think that's also going to be a very fantasy-friendly game too. Chase is going to have a good game. I see Burrow having another big game as well. And then I'm really hoping for Geno, Tyler, and DK to get it all together, because DK he's been inconsistent. Tyler hasn't really been all there this season as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's gonna be a back and forth high scoring game.
Yeah, and something that's noteworthy as well. The Seahawks had a bye last week, so they should be well rested.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about that. My upset of the week. This is gonna shock y'all. I'm going for the Cleveland Browns at home to upset the 49ers.
Yeah,
49ers.
Dang.
49ers, they've been the best team without a doubt. I think it's natural to get a little overconfident after a huge hyped-up game, Sunday Night Football, a beatdown of the Cowboys. I think it's natural to kind of have a letdown game the next. You're going to Cleveland. Not sure what the weather's like, but it almost seems like it's never good in Cleveland.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be sunny for all I know, but Cleveland had a bye as well. Should be well rested. I say, and this goes into my ice cold take, I say Deshaun Watson goes for 250 passing yards and 3 total touchdowns. I think he runs one in and throws for another 2 and an upset win against the 49ers.
Yeah. And what's your upset pick?
My upset pick is also kind of shocking. I'm going with the Panthers over the Dolphins.
That would be crazy.
I don't have really any rhyme or reason for it. I think it's just, football is one of those really unpredictable games.
Yeah, that's true.
The Panthers,
they're
0-5. They're not great, right? They're not great. They probably won't be for the rest of the season. But, anything's possible. The Dolphins can just completely bomb. The Dolphins can probably bomb, and the Panthers can do just enough to eke out a small margin of victory over that.
That would be something.
And getting into the ice cold takes, my ice cold take is I have Justin Fields having his third straight great game, totaling up 300 plus total yards of offense by himself. And he throws for like 3, or he has 3 total touchdowns as well. And the Bears beat the Vikings in a 28-24 thriller. Like you said, the Vikings, they are without Justin Jefferson, and so they'll be relying on guys like Jordan Addison, who was very good last week. But KJ Osborne, he's been having a down season, and they can't really run the football. Offensive line's bad, and so bad defense, battle line versus a team that's finding their way offensively.
Bears are hot right now.
Yeah, they are. And continue on with the hot take a little bit. DJ Moore has another great game, at least 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. So yeah, Justin Fields and DJ Moore, they cook up yet again for the 3rd straight game. And I do see the Bears winning it, like I said, 28-24. That's my ice cold take of the week.
My ice cold take of the week is that Burrow will not do what he did last week. He'll go back to being well below average of what's expected for him. One game is not at all enough to say whether or not he's back, or if he just had one good game. That's my take.
I could see Seattle winning. I will say though, I think the injury has pretty much been the reason for Burrow's struggles.
Yeah.
He could tweak at any time and not have a good game.
Right.
For sure, that's going to be a good game. I think for sure. Seahawks Bengals. I keep going back and forth at that. But let's round it off. Let's go pick the games, pick them. What we've been doing. I did get the line. I've beaten Troy the last 2 weeks. I was down 2-1. Now I'm up 3-2.
Come back though. Comeback season, man.
It's been close. I would be surprised. I won. Actually, I will say so. We were tied going into Monday Night Football, and we both picked the Raiders. And I offered. I said I want to stick with the Raiders. If you want to pick Green Bay, go ahead. And Troy, I guess, kind of took the bait a little bit and picked Green Bay.
Yeah, it's not good.
And they lost. But I did win the week before by going 12-4. That was by far. I don't know if I can top that. But overall records, if y'all are curious, I think I'm 50-27. Troy's 47-33. Not too shabby at all.
Yeah.
And this week, Adam's going to hop in on the fun. So I'll start us off. Broncos, Chiefs. I think we're all probably would pick the Chiefs. I know I am.
Chiefs over Broncos.
Yep. Chiefs, Broncos.
Rolling with the noon games, Bengals and Seahawks. This is a tough one. I wouldn't be surprised if the Seahawks win, but I am going to go with the Bengals.
I'm going to go with the Seahawks because, like I said, I'm not super confident on Burrow having another really good game, or at least a game where it's expected for him to play at the level he's supposed to play at. And so I think that'll be just enough for the Seahawks to get a win over them.
Yeah, I got Seahawks as well. Obviously, that's my upset pick of the week. I think it's a fancy-friendly game. I think both quarterbacks are going to perform great. I think both receiving cores are going to do great as well. I just like the Seahawks. Plus, I'm a little bit of a Bengals hater.
This one is tough, man. Saints at the Texans. Saints 3-2, Texans 2-3 in Houston. Houston coming off a heartbreaking last-second loss to the Falcons, last play field goal. In Atlanta, Saints obviously 34-0 blowout over Patriots on the road. Saints are 1.5 point favorite. This pains me. I can see the Saints winning. I hope we win, but I'm gonna go Houston. I think that C.J. Stroud has a good game.
Yeah, that's not a bad pick. C.J. Stroud, he's been amazing all year long. I will go Saints because I think they're slightly better offensively with Kamara back. Michael Thomas, he's been consistently pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed. Obviously, the talent is there for the Saints. Just putting it all together is what they need to do. But I think that talent discrepancy is enough for them to squeak by the Texans. I'm going to go 23-20 Saints.
Shoot, I hope you're right.
I'm also picking the Saints for the same reason. I think they have objectively better talent, and I think last game was the first step. This will probably be the second step of really trying to get that team to gel together, and then hopefully just throughout the season.
Yeah, and it's also noteworthy that Texas receiver Tank Dell, he is out with the concussion. He's out.
He's been a really good rookie.
100%. Him and Nico Collins, they've been a great duo. Nico Collins going into the second season, he's been great.
Yeah, Robert Woods is going to have to step up now.
Yep.
For Houston. Going into the next game, Ravens at Titans, international series. Let's see. I know not every game's in London. This one is in London at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Yeah. I'm actually kind of, I shouldn't say the line. I saw Titans are technically the home team, but the Ravens, a neutral site, but the Ravens are a 4-point favorite. So I'm going to go with the Ravens. I think they had a really poor showing, especially in the second half against your Steelers. My goodness, I saw a montage of the drops from their receivers.
It was
absolutely atrocious.
3 of them were in the red zone, and the last one was a walk-in touchdown had he caught it. So 3 drop touchdowns, potentially 4 touchdowns, and 8 total drops on the day.
Yeah.
Ravens receivers.
And I have Lamar Jackson in fantasy. I somehow managed to win my week, but man, that was painful to watch. I say they get on the jugs machine and they start catching balls for Lamar. I don't think the Titans are very good. They have a middling to poor secondary. I think the Ravens take the dub across the pond.
Same here. I had the Ravens winning on that one over the Titans. Pretty. I think I said 21-16, something like that. Yeah, I got the Ravens over the Titans.
And then next game we got the Commanders at the Falcons. Falcons 3-2, Commanders 2-3. Falcons 2.5-point faves at home, coming off a last-second field goal win over Texans. I'm gonna say the Commanders pull off a slight upset. They had a short week,
Same here.
or a long week of rest because they played on Thursday Night Football. Got embarrassed at home by the Bears. I think they bounced back and beat the Falcons.
Yeah. Plus, that Desmond Ridder performance was so fake, in my opinion.
He's
not doing it again. He's
not
not reaching 300 yards again for the rest of the season. Give me the Commanders, man.
Plus, I'm a Falcons hater, so any excuse to not support the
Trifecta.
Right.
Moving on, Colts at the Jaguars. Now, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I remember, or maybe it's vice versa. Is it that the Colts haven't won in Jacksonville in like a while? Or is it vice versa? I don't know. We'll have to do some research on that, but I do think they're both 3-2. Anthony Richardson, is he out?
Yeah, he's out for at least 1 to 4
Right.
weeks with an AC joint. The same.
Okay.
Yeah, the same
So that's
injury
not
Carr
good.
has.
They'll have Gardner Minshew. I mean, he's a serviceable backup, but Jaguars, I think, are finally picking it up. I proudly picked the upset over the Bills last week. They've won 2 in a row. I think they make it 3 against the Colts.
Same here. I'm going with the Jaguars over the Colts. I think it'll be a pretty smooth sailing game. Give me Jaguars over Colts 27-17.
Yep, Jaguars over Colts.
And then, still with the noon games, Dolphins at Panthers. You picked it as the massive upset.
Yep.
I'm going to go with Dolphins. I think they shouldn't have any problems at home against the winless Panthers.
Yeah, like I said, that's my lock of the week. That's Adam's upset.
Yeah.
So
you know where we stand.
Yeah.
And then, let's see. We got 2 more new games. Damn, it's a lot of new games. So, Bears at home against the Vikings. Both 1-4. Bears got their first one of the year. Short week. Or I keep saying short week. They had a short week game on Thursday, but they had a long week of rest. I feel like that matters in the NFL. And also they had a really good performance. I think they beat the Vikings, who are without their best player in Justin Jefferson.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're reeling, and I like the Bears at home.
Same here. I'm going with the Bears. That's my ice cold take of the week. So I already stated my piece on that.
Yep. Vikings over Bears. Bears over Vikings. Bears. Right. They had the good game last week.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Fields had a really good game. I think he's gonna keep doing that.
And then last noon game, this was my upset of the week and ice cold. Deshaun Watson, 250, 3 total touchdowns. Give me the Browns at home against the Niners. Now, I'm sure y'all are going to pick San Francisco, but that's going to be that's my upset of the week. So I'm going to go with Cleveland.
So, yeah.
This is for you.
My pick is definitely Niners over Browns. Niners improved to 6-0, which means Brock Purdy is 15-0 as a starter if they
McCaffrey
win.
too, I think.
Yeah, but I will respect the Browns though. Like I said, I had the Niners beating the Browns 32-27, a close game, pretty high scoring too. So that's my pick. And what about you?
49ers over Browns all day, every day of the week.
All right.
Gotcha. And then afternoon games, Patriots at the Raiders. Patriots 1-4 coming off. Do some quick math. 34-38. That's 72-3. They've been outscored the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
At the 2-3 Raiders, Vegas 3-point faves at home. So that means on a neutral field it would be even. Might surprise some people. Didn't the Patriots, they had that embarrassing failed lateral attempt? Chandler Jones had a scoop and score in Vegas. I'm gonna say the Patriots win and upset the Raiders on the road. I think
that's not bad.
Either Mac Jones or Bailey Zapp, whoever's in there, I think they do just enough, and it'll probably be a slot fest type of game. But I think the Patriots pull out the dub.
Yeah, I do think it'll be a sloppy game, but in the Raiders' favor, I had the Raiders winning 13-9. Very ugly, super low scoring. Just a very bad game. I feel bad for both teams, so I have to watch that.
I'll actually pick the Raiders over the Patriots. I think they can do just enough to get that win.
Jimmy G a little revenge on his former team.
Yeah, that's true. And then Lions at the Buccaneers. This one, I think the Lions are probably the third best team in the NFC outside of Philly and San Francisco. I think they're a better team than Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is coming off a bye and at home. Detroit's still 3.5-point faves. They've been hot. This might come back to bite me, but I'm going to say Tampa Bay upsets the Lions at home.
Not bad. I do have the Lions beating the Bucks 24-10, a bit of a safe pick. But I like what Dan Campbell's doing with the Lions. I think he's a great head coach. Also, just a easy person to root for. The Lions have a lot of players that are easy to root for, easy to cheer for. I like the team. I like the direction that they're going in, and I think they stay high. Give me them over the Bucks 24-10.
I'm also going to go with the Lions, and this is kind of a hot take. I think this is going to be the highest scoring game of Week 6. I think combined, they're probably going to put over 60 points on the board. With the Lions winning, I think it's going to be like 40-something to 20-something. Good win for the Lions, but a good scoring game in general.
And then, so we got two more Sunday afternoon games. Cardinals at the Rams. Cardinals are 1-4. Rams 2-3. Rams 7-point faves. Give me the Rams at home.
Yeah,
yep.
Same here. That's pretty easy.
So Rams across the board. Then our last afternoon game, we kind of already talked about this. Eagles at the Jets. The Eagles are a 7-point fave. I think it's going to be really close. Wouldn't shock me at all if the Jets upset them. But I am going to go Philly in a tight one. I'm going to say 24-20.
Yeah, I nearly got the exact same score. I'm going to say Eagles. I think the Jets will cover the spread. But I still got the Eagles winning just barely 21-20. And that's your lock.
Eagles is my lock, so easy.
Fly, Eagles fly.
Right?
And then Sunday Night Football, this was my lock of the week, speaking of locks. Bills over the Giants. Bills 3-2, Giants 1-4. Just a disastrous season after making the playoffs a year ago. This is crazy just to see this line in the NFL. Buffalo is -14.
Second.
I wouldn't touch that, but I think Bills money line all the way. Give me Buffalo at home.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Same here. As a matter of fact, I had the Giants as the lowest scoring team this week. Give me the Bills over the Giants, 37-6.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 37-6.
Yeah, Bills easy all the way. They've been putting on a good season so far. Giants have been floundering as the Giants do.
Yeah,
Bills easy.
And then the last game is arguably the toughest one to pick.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Monday Night Football, Chargers, Cowboys.
Yep. Chargers, obviously Herbert, I think, has been playing great this year. But that defense is so... every year with the Chargers, it's a banged-up defense or a banged-up team as a whole and a bad defense. Yeah. But somehow they still find ways to win games. But on the flip side, you do have the Cowboys coming off that embarrassing loss. Right. I do think a little nervous. I do think they were nervous heading into that game because they knew the stakes of that game.
Right.
But now that Niners game is behind them, I do think that will be Dak's worst game of the year versus the Niners. However, I got the Cowboys edging the Chargers in a close one, 27-24. It could go either way. If you guys were to pick the Chargers, I wouldn't be mad at it. Both teams are kind of in that same tier, in my opinion. But I just think the Cowboys get it done. I think they're at home too, right?
No, it is in LA.
No.
It is in LA. So they stay on the West Coast.
Yeah. They stay on the West Coast, but every Chargers game is basically away because every single time, the
Steelers took over their stadium.
Yeah, exactly. The Steelers took over their stuff. The Rams took over. I know they share a stadium, but the Rams, the Niners, whenever they play over there,
everywhere.
So it's basically a home game.
Southeastern take over their stadium.
I'm gonna go with the Chargers over the Cowboys. I think they're on the same pretty much tier. I think that Cowboys' ability to just lose games that they probably should win overpowers Chargers' ability to do the same.
They both have that tendency, though.
They
do. But I think Cowboys is just a little bit stronger of an effect than the Chargers. But I would not be surprised at all if Chargers managed to snatch defeat from Straw's victory.
And to finish us off, I'm going to go with the LA Chargers, but I could, like Troy said, I think this is by far the hardest game. Basically a toss-up. Chargers coming off a bye week. Austin Eckler also is supposed to finally suit up for the first time since week 1. That'll make a huge difference with their offense. Mike Williams is out for the year. Obviously, Josh Palmer's kind of stepped up. Keenan Allen's been a stud. Defense is banged up, like you said. So I could see Dallas coming off the embarrassment, making a statement, and getting the win on Monday Night Football. But I'm going to go Chargers in a shootout, 31-28.
Not a bad pick. Not a bad pick.
And I think, yeah, that pretty much does it. Just remember, this is homecoming week. Lion up, represent. Winless on the season, but hey, I think this game is winnable. This is where the tide maybe turns for SLU. People forget we won the conference last year. Can't win them every year, obviously, but 3 p.m. Strawberry Stadium this Saturday against Lamar. Be wearing your green and gold and line up.
Yes, sir.
And,
Line up, baby.
For the Lions Den Sports Podcast, I'm Chase Gispert.
I'm Troy Allen.
And I'm Tullier.
And we'll see you guys next week. Peace.